Betty, we're in the sitting room. Tell me about this room.
Well, this was a sitting room that we virtually came into after having dinner or lunch or whatever in the kitchen, but we never really had a lot of light because there was just sort of kerosene lamps and things. And then in later years we ended up getting gas lights, and then the room changed into a sort of more games room, if you could call it that. Rob could probably elaborate on that.
Yeah, what was that all about, Rob? There was no games until light came. Why was that?
No, well in my earliest memories is that the billiard table was in this room. It was a quarter-sized table, but because we didn't have any, we had some gas lamps they'd got in the early 60s, I think, and then later on we got electricity in 1966, but it must have been awfully dark when we played billiards, but I don't remember that. I remember playing billiards all the time, and on a Saturday night our Uncle Ted used to come up and he'd always bring a couple of bottles of beer and they'd have their beer, but he also brought a bar of chocolate, which is what we all look forward to.
So you had the billiard players playing the billiards and the children sitting around the edge waiting for the chocolate to be divvied out.
And the fantails.
Yeah.
And the swap cards that came with the chocolates. I've still got the albums. I've still got the albums at home. But it used to be great fun playing billiards. I used to play. Sometimes people would come and I'd be in my pajamas at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, still playing billiards after 6 hours because I loved it. It was a really interesting room. It was the whole house is
and lots of memories in this room.
Yeah, and probably though this was a bedroom in the very earliest days, and so it's had a number of different uses.
Yes. Now, Betty, you've got some memories about this room.
Yes, well, I remember we had a radio over near the wall, and at Easter we used to find Easter eggs on it. You know, we thought the Easter bunny got in. And then I remember one year I was just going through the doorway and my mum used to lay by things for us because there wasn't that much money around, you know. And I finally got this tea set that she'd been put on lay-by for me, and the lady wrapped it all up in brown paper, and they used to put string around it then. And she said, made a little loop for me to carry it with the string. Anyway, we got it home all right, and I got to the doorway and the string broke, and the tea set all broke, fell on the floor and broke. And Mum wasn't very happy, but Dad stuck up for me.
But we never got another one there.
No, we didn't have very much, you know. But we enjoyed our life, yeah.
So you made your own fun, really.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
right.
exactly.
We used to have a book, and we'd draw little pictures in it, you know, so we didn't waste the paper, you know, so we could fit more in.
That's why I think we've got different values today to the new generations.
Yes.
We're more thoughtful with what we use and buy.
And what you had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was still fun, you know.
And now I understand that when you were very small children, the dresser used to be a favourite hiding
Yes.
place.
Well, this sideboard here, we used to be able to get underneath it. Each of us used to be able to get right down the bottom. It's only a tiny little hole now, so how we did it, I don't know, but I can remember going in one
I'm
side.
not going to ask you to
coming
do
out
it
the
now,
other.
Rob.
Now then we might have to call search and rescue.
No, we all did it, you know. But,
So you would have been really tiny to get
Yeah.
under there. There's not much space under that.
no,
Crikey.
that's right, yeah.
But one time Dad wasn't home and Mum was trying to light the pressure light. We had these old chairs in the kitchen that were, well, it'd be leather and horsehair inside. And the light flared up as those sort of pressure lanterns do. And anyway, she finally got the light going, but the next day the chair caught fire. It had smouldered all night. And we had to throw it out the door and throw water on it. Nearly burnt the house.
Yeah, we're lucky to still be here because one day I was apparently in the pram and the lightning struck the telephone box on the wall and blew it all to smithereens. The Bakelite went everywhere, including in the
Yes,
cot.
and into his pram, and I think that frightened me with lightning.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was really scary.
Even now Dot doesn't like thunder or lightning.
You still haven't got over that,
No,
don't you?
all my friends say, "Oh, Don will be under the bed now."
I don't remember anything.
Well, you're only a baby.
But it could have been a disaster.
Yeah.
And the kitchen, obviously that must have been a hive of activity as well out there.
Yes, I can't exactly remember the old stove, but when Dad got the slow combustion stove, which produced hot water too, we used to sit there and put our feet up on the rail and keep warm.
And as I look around this room and here, this is what people are going to see when they come to view this home. It is basically like what it was like.
Yes, it is.
Yes, except that we used to have a shed out there, and Mum used
Oh,
to boil the
yes.
copper, so we had a bath out there, and she used to boil the copper, you know, so we could have some hot water
Yes,
to have the bath.
and yes, it was.
So that's gone by the board. You don't.
That
you
was
don't do
pulled
that.
down.
That was
yes.
pulled down, was it?
Yes.
You got a
And the old fern in the garden was actually up against the back of it, so that fern is very old.
Tell me about the garden. What was in the garden? What?
Pomegranate tree,
Right.
the sage, the pink one that you could pull the flowers off and suck the sweet juice. I
Right.
don't know its correct name,
Yeah.
but it was a herb type thing, I believe.
Lots of flowers and things for the house and
Yeah, it was a cottage,
Veggies?
cottage garden.
Yes.
Yeah. And
veggies.
Oh, Dad had a big vegetable garden up further on
Yeah.
in the paddock, quite large, and he grew lots of things. And then later on, he had another one just over where the drystone wall is.
in the bull paddock.
Yes, and he had veggies there. He loved to grow veggies, and I can't think what other activities.
Big trees. The big trees there out the front.
Oh, goodness knows how long they've been there.
And there used to be old pine trees that just out the back here.
Back
And they got so big and old, I think Mum was scared they're going to fall down. And so Dad cut them down.
Oh, that's right.
And,
Yes.
There was a drystone wall around just out the back here, and I think he got rid of that because he's worried there were snakes in there.
Snakes
As
in
we
there.
know.
Now we haven't heard about the story of the snake. Now, come on, over to you, Betty. What happened there?
Yeah, I was playing in the what they call now the studio when I was only little, and I remember I was playing in this box that had all pretty pictures on it. I was looking in there, and I turned around and this snake was right beside me, and I started calling my mum because she knew I was pretty quiet as a kid, and that if I screamed something was wrong. And she came out and she stepped over the snake, picked me up, and then the snake slithered out and went to the corner outside, and we had a plaster factory up here, and one of the blokes come down and killed it, you know, but I never liked snakes since then.
Well, I can imagine. So there's no liking of snakes, no liking of the lightning, but I can imagine there would have been many evenings when you would have come into this room and you would have found that what your mum had done had made some lovely scones and jam and cream for you. And I'd like to thank you today for replicating that. Would you like to pick one up each?
Yes.
Well, here's to Mum.
Have a bite.
Yeah.
Here's the mum and here's to the
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Dad.
And
Yeah.
and thank you very much once again for a walk down a delightful memory lane in Roberts Street, Lalor.